So this is the first step of our sanding block project. What we're gonna need is a piece of 1x3, we're gonna need a square, we're gonna need a pencil, we're gonna need a ruler. First thing we're gonna wanna do is make sure that the end of our 1x3 is square, which it is. If it's not square, we'll go to the miter saw and we'll cut it square. Now we're gonna take our ruler and we're gonna measure out 4.5 inches. Okay, so we'll do 4.5 inches and we'll draw a little point pointing to the 4.5. We call this a crow's foot. Okay, take our ruler away and we'll take our square. We'll make sure that the lip of the square is tight against the side of the 1x3. And we'll run the square through the center of the crow's foot, scribe a line, and then we'll mark an X on our waist side. So this is the part we're gonna keep, this is our waist. Next, we'll go over to the miter saw and we'll cut this out. So over here at the miter saw now, first and foremost, we're gonna make sure that we're wearing our safety glasses, that our sleeves are rolled up if we have them, any long hair, loose clothing, or loose jewelry is secured. Now, we'll get our piece out of the way for now, and we'll just verify that the guard on the saw works. So we see the guard works, we'll verify that the trigger lock works. Trigger lock works, right? I have to push the red button in with my thumb to get the saw to start. Now, with the blade fully stopped, we will bring our piece of 1x3 over here, and we're gonna align the right side of the blade with the waist side to the left side of our line. So I'll come down, bring the blade down, we'll get it lined up, and once we're good, we'll make sure our left hand that is holding it is at least 6 inches away. We'll start the saw, let it come to full speed, cut our piece, bring it up, and then turn the saw off, just like this. And what we're left with is a piece that is 4.5 inches long. Now we're gonna make another one of these, repeating the process that we just did. So measuring, laying out, and cutting, and we'll end up with 2 of these. So now we're back here. We have 2 identical length pieces that we've cut with the miter saw. We're gonna lay out our holes on one of these pieces. So for that, we're gonna need our pencil, we're gonna need our square, we're gonna need our ruler. We're gonna start by finding the center of this block. So we are 2.5 inches wide, which means halfway will be 1 1/4 inches, or 1 1/4 inches. So we'll draw a crow's foot, we'll come down, measuring from the same side, we'll draw a second crow's foot, and we'll end up with 2 lines like this, or 2 marks like this, sorry. Now, we'll take our ruler, we'll run it through the center of those 2 lines, and we'll put a nice center line down the center of our piece. Okay? Now, we're gonna measure in 1.5 inches, 1 1/2 inches from each end, and that's gonna be the location of our hole. So again, measure over, we'll draw a crow's foot, spin our piece around, draw another crow's foot, and we'll take our square and, run our square through the center of each crow's foot. Remember to keep the lip of the square tight against the side of our piece of stock. And we'll go like this, line through the crow's foot. We'll do the same thing over here. Line through the crow's foot. And right here will be the location of our pilot holes. So now we're gonna tape these 2 pieces together and go to the drill press and drill all the way through to guarantee proper alignment of our holes. Okay, over here at the drill press now, we're always gonna make sure that we have our safety glasses on, that our sleeves are rolled up, or that our long hair or loose clothing is secured. So we have our 2 marks that we've laid out. We're gonna drill a 1/8 inch pilot hole through both of our blocks, which are taped together here. That'll guarantee that our holes will remain aligned for the rest of the project. So I'm going to position the piece with my left hand. I'm gonna grab the handle and bring the quill down until we're on the mark. Get ourselves lined up. Start the drill press. And slowly come down until the chuck almost touches the wood. And then slowly come back up. We'll 180 our piece. We'll come down. Once we're confident we're lined up, we'll plunge our bit through. Turn our piece off, wait for it to come to a stop, and we'll see that we have 2 pilot holes that go straight through both pieces to guarantee our hole alignment. Okay, so now we're going to talk about using the router to put a round over on the upper edge of our sanding block to make it more comfortable in our hand. Now, because of the size of this router bit and the size of this tool, we can't just simply put it in a vise. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use this impact driver to screw our piece down to this piece of wood which is in the vise, and then we'll run the router around it. So, we'll place our pieces here. We'll take a Robertson construction screw, keep steady pressure downwards, and we'll get our piece fixed so that the screw is flush. We'll drive another screw through our other pilot hole, and there we go. So we'll make sure that our screws are flush, and then we're going to take our router and we're going to have a look at the bit rotation. Okay, the bit rotates clockwise as you face down, like so. So we want to go this way around our piece so that the router is always going into fresh material. So again, we want to have safety glasses on at all times for this. Keep our hands well clear of the router. Make sure we keep it flat and guide it around like so. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And now you see we have a nicely rounded piece, and we will use our impact now in reverse and remove our screws. And now we have our top piece and our bottom piece, and we'll go talk about boring these holes out to fit our T-nuts and our screws, and then countersinking for our screws. So on to the next step. So over here at the other drill press now, we have a larger drill bit which is going to clear the T-nuts that will go in the bottom and the screws that will go in the top. So we'll start by bringing our piece in, bringing the drill bit down. Now with the pilot hole, the drill bit will naturally follow that hole that we already drilled. So we're going to start the drill press, and we're going to slowly let the drill bit find center, plunge through, come back up, spin them around, come do the same thing over here. Again, let it find center, come through, 2 holes here. We'll take our other piece, same thing, go in these 2 pilot holes. So we'll come in, let our drill bit find center, it'll follow that hole through. Right, spin it around, come in, let our drill bit find center, come through, turn the drill press off. And now we have 2 sets of holes which are perfectly aligned from our pilot hole from earlier. You can see through there. So now we'll go talk about countersinking. So now we're going to talk about countersinking. This is the screw we're going to be using for our piece, and if you see here, you can see that it sits proud. So we're going to use a countersink, and we're going to match the profile of the underside of the screw head in these 2 holes so the screw sits flush. So much like with the pilot hole, we'll bring this down and we will make sure that it's somewhat centered, but allow it to center itself. Turn our drill press on, and we'll come down just slightly, and we'll check, come down a bit more, okay? And we'll spin our piece around, and we'll try to make it the same depth as the other one. Come down like so, checking, a little bit more. Turn the machine off, clear our dust out of there, and then you'll see we have 2 nicely countersunk holes which will fit both of our screws nicely. So now we'll go talk about assembling our block. So now we're ready to assemble our block. So we have our upper piece with our countersunk holes for our screws. We have our lower piece. So we'll flip our lower piece over and we will install 2 T-nuts in here. Then we will take our hammer and we'll hammer them in flush, just like that. Okay? And we'll flip our piece over and we will allow our screws to set through. And we'll take our screwdriver and now we have a mostly complete sanding block. Now we want to see that our edges are more or less aligned, which they are. Our screws sit. Okay, now we're going to talk about sanding. So now we need to prepare our sanding block for finish. We need to focus mostly on the top and the sides of our block. We're going to start with various grits of sandpaper. So we'll start with 80, then we'll go to 120, then 150, and then 220. Now, as ironic as it sounds, we're going to use our sanding block to sand our sanding block. So we'll hold a piece like this, and we'll go like so. We'll work it back and forth. We'll see the pencil marks slowly come off, and we'll work through all of the grits on all of the visible sides. Okay? Okay, now we're going to talk about finishing. This is a water-based gloss finish. You see here, water-based gloss finish. We're going to use a foam brush. We're going to put a light coat on the outside surfaces of our block. So we're going to come like this. Okay, pick our piece up and do a nice light coat around the outside. Get a little bit on the top or the side, it's not a big deal. This is on our bottom piece. So we'll go like this, right? We'll come around like so, and we will set that up to dry. Now, for our top piece, we're gonna do the same thing. We'll do around our edges first. Try to apply the finish with the grain. Okay, making sure we have safety glasses on and we have paper laid out so we don't get finish all over our bench. Once the sides are done, we can set it on our little pyramids here and do a nice coat of finish on the top, like so. And we'll let that dry. We'll sand it lightly at 220, and we'll do 2 more coats for a total of 3. So the final step of our project will be installing cork on the bottom of our sanding block. So all we're gonna do is we'll take our cork board, make sure that we have it set down on a cutting pad. We'll take a utility knife and we'll come around. We'll just gently trace our piece. Sometimes you gotta do a couple cuts to get all the way through. We'll come around to the far side. Same thing, couple cuts. And then you will be left with a piece of cork that is the same size as the bottom of our block. So we'll flip our piece over. We'll peel the sticky backing off of our cork and we will affix it to our sanding block. So now we have a nice surface for our sandpaper. The final step for this project is to install the sandpaper in our sanding block. So to do that, we take our screwdriver, pop our screws out, set our piece, pardon me, more or less off to the side. Okay, we'll wrap our sandpaper around it. Now you'll see this perfectly fits a 1/4 sheet of sandpaper. Okay, we'll set our top piece back on, drive our screws in, and there we have it. A nice, completed, useful sanding block that's yours to keep.